I'm Lexoyo, and I will show you today how to make a website from scratch with Silex. No template and some CSS animation too. This is this is it. So first of all, thank you to Silex Labs, who is in Paris, and they must sleep right now, but they organized this webinar in order to support Silex and current crowdfunding, because we have a crowdfunding campaign going on right now. I invite you to subscribe to Silex newsletter on silexlabs.org, and also to go on Silex websites, silex.me, to see the current the opportunity to make a better Silex. Feel free to support us. It's a non-profit organization, and we use Silex to let people start with web design, to understand the web, the web opportunities, the opportunities in the web world. I'm sorry, it's hard to switch to English right now, but it will get better and better. So let's see what we are going to do today. I'm not a designer, so I'll just show you how to use Silex to reproduce a website like this one, Perso 2. You see it's on templates.silex.me. These are open source and Creative Commons templates. So we'll simply reproduce this website. Let me show you. It looks like this. Hey. And yeah, it's very simple. It's a one-page website with text and gallery. I think we won't do exactly the same. We'll adjust it to our fake project, because we have a fake project like everybody. So we are web design agency. So let's go on Silex editor.silex.me and start new file. We'll have a blank page like this. So to reproduce this, we'll start by adding all the content, and then we'll make it look like this. So let's get started. I'll drag this first container a little bit down, because it's a one-page website and it's quite high. So here it is, and also I noticed that it's on a white background, so I'll start slowly and make it a white background. So here it is. Then I'll add the content. So let's start with some text here, up, and I'll copy paste it from here. Here we are. So let's start with the baseline. Here is a baseline. Hey you, no. I'll say this is a heading one, a title, and this is some text, and everything is centered here. Yeah. Okay. Then I'll add a picture, background picture like this. So there are two ways to add picture in Silex. A normal picture. I'll show you this one. So I have an empty folder here. Here we are. So I'll start by adding an assets folder to put all my images. Okay, and then I'll click on select your files to upload, and I'll upload some useful images like this one, which is the header. Okay, so the first way to add an image is by adding an image. You see this image button? Okay, that's not a good image. Let's add another image. I'm sorry. The top image is this one. So let's start again. Okay, I've added this image with the image button, and I'll put it on the background here. this will be transparent, and this one, you see, I want it to be full width, but if I use the normal image, you see it resizes not so good. It doesn't keep the proportions, and so I won't add an image with the image component, in fact. So I remove this, and I show you the second way to add an image. I add a container here. I put it in the back also, and I'll make a smart move, select background image here. And when I put an image in the background of a container, you'll see that it has several very useful properties, like, for example, the alignment and vertical alignment, and also the way it resizes. So let's select cover. So you can see, if you have questions, Julian especially, feel free to ask for anything. And yeah, so this is a container with a background image, and you can see that if I resize it, it resizes better. It keeps proportions, and it makes it looks nice. Every size is fine. So that's because it's a background image and not a standard image like this. So I'll use here the numbers because it's easier to put it in 0, 0. We'll use CSS to make it 100% width. So let's wait for the design and continue adding content. So now you see I have a section with what I do. So let's add a title again. What I do. And let's make it a heading 2, for example. Okay, now we have a little picture like that, and this doesn't need to resize and to keep proportion, so we use the normal image. This is the image I have uploaded before my mistake. So you see it's very huge. It shouldn't. I should resize it like this. It's even bigger, like that. Okay. I use the shift button to keep the proportions and resize it. So yeah, now the text like this, our design, everything. I use another text field. You see it's quite easy, drag and drop only for now. Things are getting harder and harder. Don't go away right now. Okay. Here we are. I paste the text, and here I say it's heading 3 title. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, it starts to be complete. Only this. One more picture in the background. So once again, I'll use a container with a background image. Like this, and make it a little bigger. And a background image which I will upload again. Let's see, this one is fine. So now I will make it cover the container so it resizes nicely, and center the image in the container. Okay, I'll put it in X on the left, so 0 for X, and for width we will see with CSS to adjust it to the height. I propose that we don't add more text because it's not fun. I'll show you how we add and manipulate many images. So let's make a gallery. I'll add more images. Let's make it a showcase section. Showcase section. Oh shit. So no, okay, I have trouble writing showcase. Okay, showcase is my folder, and in it I will put many images of my work, of my fake project. So let's put all these images. It's interesting to see how I can go faster by cloning objects. That's what I want to show you. And let's see if you have, yeah, chouette, nice. Okay, so let's start with one image. I want to add some effects on this image, so I'll add it with the method I showed you earlier. Container with a background image, which will be image 1. Okay, don't worry about how it looks. We'll make it look better after this. I'll add a title for my showcase for this image, a little caption like that. So let's say this is the work I did, and make it centered. Okay, here it is. I'll group these two with the container. It will be probably easier to manipulate, so it's important for you to know how it looks. Oui.
Je pense que tu seras le dernier à partir.
Ouais, je suis en ligne, hein, sur un plan. Tu veux pas me l'écrire? Ouais, ok.
Pardon,
ouais.
excuse-moi.
Oui.
Tu veux que...
Okay, so let's group these two elements with a container, and now we'll be able to duplicate it, which will be much easier. You see, it has a. I don't like the way it has a non-transparent white background, so I select these two, and because I forgot to make it transparent, I prefer it like that. So now it's transparent. It shows you how we manipulate several elements at once. Here we select them, and let's make it centered. This one should be at the same position in Y. Okay, let's make it 1230 pixels, and here 1230 pixels. You see how I make it precise. I'll clone these two, so Control C and Control V again. And here we can do the same. I make this a lot higher, so for this I can use the text, the digits here again. So let's make it 3000. It's easier than drag dropping. Up, 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 and one more time like this. Okay, so now I'll have to change all the images to match my design. Here I'll choose image 2, here image 3. Oh wait, no, this is, oh yeah, image 3, image 4. Then image 5, 6, 7, and 8. Of course, I forgot to. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine like this. So I want this to be the background of my showcase section. Let's make it bigger like that. Okay, nice. Yeah, I'll save these websites, and now we'll start to make something look good. I'll save it as editable. You should watch the first demo of Silex if you want to know why editable. Oh wait, I saved it in assets, so I wanted to save it here in at the root of. So let's call it editable again. Okay. So let's preview our work. and here is how it looks. Yeah, that's not great, but all the content is here. We just have to make it look good. Let's start by the 100% width elements. So this one and this one should take the full width. That's quite easy, but it still requires CSS. So I'll select these two elements and enter the advanced mode here with this button. Then at the bottom I'll add a CSS class which I will create. So let's call it full width. I could give any name, of course, any CSS valid names. And now I'll go to the CSS style editor. This one can be docked here, so we can have a live preview on the left and code here on the right. So let's create this full width CSS class. Usually the best for Silex is to write that it's a div here, and yes, let's write width. You'll see that CSS is quite easy, 100%. Yep. And the two elements here, they've been caught by this rule, and they are now 100% width. Let's save and look at this. Yeah. Okay. Now the two images are 100% width. Let's resize the window to be sure. Okay, I can. Okay, let's resize the window like this, and you see it resizes good. So now I will want to change this text. The text is a really interesting thing you can do with Silex to style the text with CSS, because CSS are really powerful for text. Thank you, Julia, for your encouragement. I'll share some links in the chat for you to read some really good things. For example, you have For example, you have a help button here, which shows you how to make to use CSS in Silex. So how to use the predefined CSS classes in Silex and style text. So you can read this, and you can also look at the excellent documentation by Mozilla here, developer.mozilla.org, and you have all the CSS you need and examples. So that's regular CSS in Silex, so don't hesitate to use this. And yeah, let's start by changing the font of all the site, because it's very important to designers to have nice fonts. Here I can advise you to use this fontlibrary.org website, which is a very nice resource of many fonts. Don't use Google web fonts, because they use it as trackers to track your users. So prefer this fontlibrary.org, please. It's a thing you want to do for your user. So I have chosen this glacial indifference regular font, and so this is quite easy. You take the URL of the font here. You could use the whole code here, but I prefer to make a rule in Silex like this. So it's at import. This is documented in, of course, it's regular CSS. Let's see. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. So at import, this will import the font into your website, and you'll be able to select which text will use this font. So I want it on all the font of my website. So let's put a rule on the body. up like this, and I want the font family to be the one I chose here. So this is what they wrote here, font family and white and style like this, up. So I copy paste these rules, and you see that all of the fonts on the website, they have been updated and they look much nicer. Okay, here you can see it here live. I refresh it and you see how it looks good with a new font, a custom font. That's because I used @import here, the rule, to import the CSS, and then the body has a font family set to this font here. Let's continue with the text styles. So I want to style the title here. Let's say, okay, I want to style the text only of this text box. So I'll add a font. I add here a style. So that's let's say main, and I'll create in the editor a style for main. So always like this. Dot main is then is a selector to select this text box, and here I'll be able to say, okay, H1, so the title here, hey you, have to be a little bit bigger. So let's say div.main H1, this will select only the title in this box, and let's say I want the color to be white, but I can also put it here like this, white. It's simpler than in CSS, okay. So, but the size need to be adjusted. So let's say font size, why not 20 pixels? You have to choose. Okay, let's make it 30 or even 40, and you have the live preview, which is very useful here. So let's look at this. How was it? Oh, it's way bigger, so maybe 100. Yeah, looks better. I want it to be in uppercase, so let's make it here. Oh wait, okay. Make it here in uppercases, so that's white on a white background. I'll add a temporary background here. Let's make it blue for a second so that I can see better what I do, and let's make it hey you in uppercase. Yeah, is it better? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's better. Remove this awful background, please. Yeah, here transparent. Okay, so and the text in this box, I'll make it a little bigger too. So I'll select the box div.main, and then the text is just normal text, so it's P, I guess. And font size, not 100, but yeah, not 100, but let's make it not like 40 or 30. 30 looks good. Okay, so you notice that there is some kind of effects here, and this is CSS effects, but I won't do it right now because it's more advanced, but you should look on Mozilla documentation and add a simple text shadow on this. But I want to go faster, so I won't do it right now. So here we are. Now the website looks like this. Okay. And what I want to do now is style a little bit more this one with what I do should be a little bit more like it's bold for now, but I will style it. So let's say H2, because if you remember I selected the you see heading 2, so I'll just have to style the heading 2 and I want the font to be not bold, but font white has to be very light, so let's make it 100 and you see how it goes. It's better like that. So font white is also another CSS style which is really nice to use. And the H3 here on the side could be here our design. The H3 could be also not bold, so yeah. And it's a little bit, it's kind of gray, our design, so I'll use the color property like this, and I can type gray, color set to gray will be like this. Okay, so enough with maybe the no, it's okay. Let's say it looks good. Okay, now let's play with the images, which will be much more fun. For example, I have something really simple you can do when you have a website like this. It's on the background image properties. You have a scroll and a fixed property. So let's choose fixed, and you see that when I scroll, it stays fixed, and it looks quite good, I believe. So let's look at it in the preview mode, and you see when I scroll, the image stays fixed. So I should do the same with this other background image, which will look awesome like this. So I select not scroll but fixed, and here we are. Okay, this was very easy. Now we will apply styles on all these boxes all together. So I will create a CSS style for all the boxes. Let's select them all. Okay, like this, and I will add here a CSS style. Let's call that showcase. Now I can go in the CSS editor and add a rule for showcase. So div.showcase will select every box here, and now I want to add a rule on the background image of this div here. So let's say div and background image. So I want to play with the size, in fact. So let's play with background size, and I want it to be 100%. So you'll see that it takes the full width. It looks better like that, and that's very easy one. But what could be nice is that on the rollover here, we could say that we apply an effect on it. For example, on the size. So let's duplicate this rule, but now I want to apply a style when I hover the container. And for example, let's say I want it to grow like this. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, looks quite okay. So, but I don't want it to be so hard on the transitions. I want a transition, and that's really easy in CSS. So I add the value transition, and then I'll ask it to be smooth. So I want a transition on this background size, this property, and I want it to last something like not even 1 second, let's say half a second, and we'll see. Oh yeah, it looks good, and you can hover the things and you have styles like this. You can animate any property, like for example there are some effects, or you can play with borders or things like that, and just by adding a transition on a property it will look like this. Okay, nice. What can we do now with CSS in Silex? Let's say I'd like this title to appear, or to react to rollover, or to have an animation to make it more dynamic. This website, it's quite easy. I could, for example, use a library which is called Hover, of course. So let's look at this. It's a library here called Hover, and it allows you to apply nice styles like this on any element, and you can use it in Silex. You see, when I hover the things, they have many animations. Here we are. So let's download the library. It's a simple CSS. So I download the zip here. It's a CSS file, in fact, we want. So okay, I will unzip it on my hard drive here in downloads, for example, and let's see what it did. Okay, Hover here, and you see there is a very important file in all this mess, which is hover.css. I'll add this to Silex, to my website. That's quite simple. You open the file browser here, I don't say it right. And since it's a CSS file, it's not an asset, I'll create a CSS folder. In my CSS folder, you can choose it like the images, but I'll drag it and drop it here. It's the same. So it appears in CSS, so hover.css. And okay, I can close the file browser, and I'll go back to how it works, tutorial. So I have downloaded it, and now how to use it. You have to add this to your website. So you go into View and HTML head editor, because they say in the I'm quick because I know the library, but you should read all the text. So I paste the code here, and this includes hover.css in my website. Okay, and now I apply effects on an element. How you do that? You add the class button, the CSS class button, to the element, and this will do, or wait, button is really not necessary. Okay, I'll add this class, grow rotate. So let's say I want to animate Hey You like this. In the CSS class, I have already created the main class, but now I'll paste the CSS class that they gave me in the tutorial. Let's see what it does in the preview mode. Okay, and when I hover the text, you see that there is an effect. Once again, I opened the head editor, I copy-pasted the code they gave me on the tutorial for this hover.css library, and then I selected this element and added the CSS class that they gave me in the tutorial. Now I suppose there are many other effects, so I'll be able to change the class CSS class, and it will change the CSS effect. Anyway, that's a nice one. Let's try another library, which is not hover effects, but more it's effects, transition effects. For example, I'll show you. Yeah, here effects like bouncing. There are many effects, CSS effects. So that's another CSS animation library. Let's go. Let's follow the tutorial. It will be very similar. So you have to, if you read the text, you have to download the CSS library, extract it from the zip file into my download folder, and then add it to your Silex website. So view file browser, and I'll select the CSS which I downloaded, animate.css. Here we are. Okay, I can close the file browser, and then what do they tell me? They tell me to add this in the head section, you see? So I just copy paste it. Wait. Okay, view and HTML head editor. I'll add it beside the other one, and please note that you have to match the file you uploaded. So it's more like css/animate.css. This is the file I uploaded. Okay, and then let's see, they tell you to add a class to the element you want to animate. So that class is called animate. So let's say I want to animate how this image comes in. I'll add animated, the CSS class, and they say now you have to choose an animation. So let's say fade in, or bouncing maybe. Let's say fade in left. Okay, so I add this fade in left class beside the animated class. I save this. Oh, wait. I save this website, and look at the preview. Did you see this image here? It appears with the transition and animation. So that's quite simple for people used to manipulate CSS like this. So you have a quite dynamic website now. Okay, now I'll finish with something very different, not about CSS in Silex, but more about how you can collaborate on websites with Silex. And this is you saw that I save all my files. I upload files and I save my HTML file in Dropbox here. But in fact, there is also FTP. You can put your files on FTP with this. It asks you for authentication, your FTP login, etc. And either way, with Dropbox or FTP, you can collaborate by sharing a folder. For example, in Dropbox, when you go on their website, you can choose the folder we just used, which is Webinar 2, and in English, this one. So that's where we put all our files. You recognize the editable file. And here you can share the folder here with anyone you want and work together. When someone will change a file, it will reflect into your Dropbox too, and you will see it in Silex. So that's good, but that's not enough. We are currently, as I told you, crowdfunding something, and this something is something I'm working on right now with the contributor of Silex, JB, and Zabojal too. So let's see where we are now. The crowdfunding has a goal. It's among the goals of the crowdfunding. We have this to add more services like Dropbox and FTP, but these services are quite cool, even a lot better than Dropbox because they are open. So we have here the on-cloud instance. So I have here an on-cloud instance. So on-cloud is the open source version of Dropbox. It's an open source alternative, and here you see it's even a lot faster than with Dropbox. So if you want to help, please help us fund this functionality. So that's a free alternative but you have to host it yourself, or you can use several non-profit organizations like Framasoft offers you a way to have it already installed, and your data will stay safe, not like in Dropbox. Also, we will add a great way to collaborate. It's with GitHub. This is not an open source service, it's a proprietary SaaS service, but GitHub is great to share code, to share, and here we will share design websites, and you can make the website of someone better and then propose your modification, and it's great. So that's coming soon if we can do it with the crowdfunding. Yeah, so that's it. I think we'll stop with questions if you have some. And I see that our friend Julian is happy with my little tricks. Please feel free to ask questions on GitHub. In Silex you have here a button to report bug or ask question. We will answer very quickly. You need a GitHub account, but it's very easy to do. So please ask questions and interact with us so we know that you exist. Okay, I think I'll stop with this. Anyway, you can reach us anytime. Thank you for attending this webinar. Thank you to Silex Labs to support Silex, and to all Silex contributors. Bye.